Hey everybody, this is Anthony with VR Game Rankings, and of course, this is the daily vlog series. It is Friday, February 9th, and this is episode 95. I do have a handful of news stories, but I didn't get the kind of news stories I wanted, so we have a few more game announcements to get in today, maybe a little bit of some game impressions as well, and we'll just go ahead and dive right into things. So the first story of the day is the barking dog situation. Okay, so yeah, that was completely off base yesterday. I just want to explain very quickly, and we'll get past this real quick, so don't worry about it. But I just wanted to basically explain myself about this dog situation. So when I edit this video, what happens is I record the video, and then the first thing that I edit is I edit the audio. And when I'm editing the audio, what I do is I crank the volume super loud, and I'm using my really good Sennheiser headphones. They're pretty good headphones, and then I have the volume cranked really loud, and so I can hear every little tiny issue with the audio. And yesterday when I was editing the audio, the dog barking, I could hear it so loud and so clear and so obvious that I thought for sure it would actually be really irritating during the YouTube video. But I was like, I got to do this. I don't have any other time to do this, so the hell with it. Tough titty. You're going to hear a few dogs barking in the background. And so that's why all of that happened there. But then later in the day, I actually watched a little bit of that video just on like another computer in the house and just watching it normal style at a normal volume. And you really don't hear the dogs at all. I mean, you'd have to listen super, super close, and you'd have to really pump up the volume to hear the dogs. So I feel a hell of a lot better. And Palmer Luckey, you don't have to send me that $50,000 anymore. So if you already sent me the $50,000, I'll send it back, whatever, no big deal. But yeah, I guess I don't have to make a soundproof studio. And so that is tremendously exciting. And I feel a hell of a lot better because there's always airplanes, there's always darking bogs, there's always barking dogs, there's always all kinds of stuff going on in the background. And so it's wonderful to know that a lot of that doesn't come through on the final video. So that is wonderful. So I just need to remember that and not worry about that anymore. So that is the barking dog update. Okay, story number 2 is 11 Table Tennis VR is having a free weekend. Now, it's been a number of weeks in a row we've been talking about the Oculus free weekends, raw data, From Other Suns, Onward. Man, what was it last week? And I can't even remember, but every single week there are these free weekends that seem to be happening on Oculus, and that continues this week as well. We have 11 Table Tennis VR, but here's the good news for HTC Vive players. You can get a free weekend as well on Steam, so you don't necessarily have to play this through Revive if you want to do a free weekend, and you don't need to go into your Oculus account and download 11 Table Tennis VR. You can do it right from Steam. So I think this is a great idea. This is a smart idea because what a lot of developers are doing, they're doing these free weekends, but then on top of that, typically what they do is they put the game on sale. They put it on a nice sale price. Oh, Spark was the one last week, and can't believe I forgot about that. But yeah, so they put these games on sale. They give them a good sale price. They let you try the game out. And it's just a great time is had by all because you get to try out the game. And if you're really feeling it, what this game is bringing, well, it's on sale. Here's a chance to get it at a good price. And 11 Table Tennis VR is going to be on sale this weekend for $10. It is widely considered to be the best ping pong / table tennis game in VR. And you might say, well, who cares? It's the best table tennis game in VR. Is that really that big of a deal? Yeah, it actually is, because there are a lot of ping pong table tennis type games in VR. There's actually quite a few. Now, my boy Gary from VR Roundtable, he actually prefers virtual sports more than table tennis VR, but he does love table tennis VR as well. But he just kind of fell in love with virtual sports. So that is another good table tennis game as well. But you can try 11 Table Tennis, and if you like it, pick the game up for a mere $10. Sounds like a great deal, and hopefully this trend will continue. I think this is a great idea for developers out there that have released a game. Maybe their game has been around for a while, hasn't really necessarily caught fire. This is a way to get a lot of attention for your game, everybody trying your game, everybody talking about your game, and you might pick up a whole bunch of new sales. I'm sure for 11 Table Tennis, I'm sure 4 Fun Labs, I believe, is a developer. I'm sure they're going to pick up a whole bunch of new sales all of a sudden by having this free weekend. So it is a great idea. Okay, story number 3 is another game announcement. I know yesterday was pretty much all game announcements, and today we have a couple of them. And the first one is Time Carnage. So if you remember a game called Don't Knock Twice, a horror game that was developed by Wells Interactive, this is another game that they are bringing to the table. It is called Time Carnage, and basically the idea with this game is you are an elite soldier that has to travel to various time periods to deal with these different threats that are affecting your reality in whatever time period you're actually in to begin with. And so it's kind of like this Time Cop type thing. I mean, how cool is that movie Time Cop, by the way? I really wish we had like some remakes of movies like Time Cop. I always like these time movies where you're traveling to the past, you're traveling to the future. We don't have enough of those movies. I mean, is it just me? But I don't know. I feel like there aren't enough time traveling movies out there. We'd like to see some more of them, but that's kind of what this game is about. And if you check out the trailer for this game, I mean, there are dinosaurs everywhere in this trailer. In fact, as I was watching the trailer for Time Carnage, I started to kind of think of Brookhaven Experiment, and I also thought of Island 359. And it's kind of funny because the original developers, the original programmers of the Brookhaven Experiment demo, they actually left Phosphor Studios and created Island 359. Now, of course, Wells Interactive has nothing to do with this, but if you watch the Time Carnage trailer, it does look quite a bit like Brookhaven Experiment and also Island 359. So they're going to be mixing in dinosaurs, and then you're also going to be traveling into the future where it's obvious that a zombie apocalypse has kind of taken place, and you're going to travel even further into the future where there appears to be maybe like a robot apocalypse that is taking place, and it appears to be a wave shooter. I don't know how much you're actually moving around. Now, the only irritating thing that I noticed while watching this trailer is that whenever you're in these various time periods, you have guns and weapons and stuff like that. I believe there's like 25 different weapons or something that's available. So there's lots of variety there, which is very cool. But when your weapons get out this way a little bit, it seems to activate this shield that is kind of surrounding you, almost like you could think of the bubble shield in Halo, how you have this shield that's kind of surrounding you. And then also when enemies get really, really close to you, it also seems to activate this shield. Now, I think the idea for activating this shield is you're kind of giving the player this idea, oh yeah, this is this futuristic thing. You're this futuristic cybernetic soldier warrior that is traveling to these different time periods. And so it's kind of giving you this futuristic feel by having this shield kind of develop around you, and you kind of see parts of this shield. But I don't know, I kind of feel like it's a little bit distracting. I wonder how that is going to be when we're actually playing the game. Is it going to be distracting, or is it not that big of a deal? Will you be able to turn it off in the options menu? Probably not that big of a deal, really, but it's just something I noticed while watching the trailer. But this game is supposedly coming, I believe, this spring. So we can definitely look forward to Time Carnage coming soon from the developer of Don't Knock Twice. Okay, so another upcoming game that is going to be coming in the near future is called Stein. And this game is coming to us from Hammerhead. Now, Hammerhead is the UK-based studio behind Siren, which released last year. And this is a new game for them. Now, we don't have a lot of information on this game, but the interesting thing about it, there was basically just a tweet that kind of announced the game, that it's going to be coming sometime in the future. But what looks really cool about this game is, see, Hammerhead, they have their own studio in London that is a volumetric 3D capture studio. And this is a high-end studio. In fact, Microsoft, when they first got started with their whole Microsoft mixed reality thing, this is one of the first studios that they signed up to be a part of Microsoft, their Microsoft mixed reality platform. And so Microsoft is actually working with Dimension Studio, which is a part of Hammerhead. It's like a sister company within Hammerhead that does volumetric capture. And so the cool thing about this is what I didn't realize. You guys remember Blade Runner 2049 Memory Lab, a really cool non-gaming experience that I highly recommend. It's available on the Oculus Store. If you guys haven't tried out Blade Runner Memory Lab 2049, you got to try it out. Really cool. And in that game, one of the things that impressed me the most about it is you have these real human characters that are in the game, and they're acting and they're doing their thing, and it's very 3D. It's like this volumetric capture. And so that is an example of what Dimension Studio is capable of. And Hammerhead, the developer, in their tweet, they said, we are going to be using Dimension Studio's volumetric hocus pocus in this game Stein. Now, what is this game Stein about? Well, it's basically a VR crime thriller where you're going to be solving cold cases throughout British history that have not been solved. You're going to attempt to solve these various cold cases, and it's going to use this volumetric capture as a central part of the storytelling experience and a central part of the entertainment experience that they're going to bring. And the exciting thing about this, I don't know about you guys, but I've always liked the idea of detective games. I can remember going all the way back to the Sega CD. We're talking in the early 90s. There was this Sherlock Holmes game that was on the Sega CD. It was a really cool game. And ever since then, I've always kind of liked the idea of detective games. And we've seen some stuff like this in VR already. Of course, Quanero is kind of like this. It's a very short thing that was made by a bunch of students, I believe in Toronto or something like that. They made this experience called Quanero. And I always, after playing Quanero, I was like, oh man, detective games in VR, this is a good idea. This is a smart idea. And that's kind of what Stein looks like. And it's going to be taking advantage of this advanced volumetric capture that we saw in Blade Runner 2049 Memory Lab. So that is exciting. Definitely looking forward to this game Stein, this experience Stein. And supposedly there will be a demo for this that is coming in the not too distant future. So we're definitely going to look forward to that. We'll keep our eyes on that. I never played Siren. I don't know how good Siren was or wasn't. Never happened to play that, but this is the same developer. Okay, next story we can get into is, remember yesterday I said I got the full version of Sprint Vector and that I would be spending a lot of time in Sprint Vector and I would have a lot of thoughts about Sprint Vector today. Well, I have to apologize because yesterday I did spend some time in Sprint Vector, but not as much as I would have liked to have spent. I only saw one new track in my time with it, and because one of the situations is when you get in there, basically you have to start unlocking tracks. So the same 3 tracks that were available in the closed beta, those tracks are available right away. And then as you start to have some times and I think as long as you finish in the top 3 on some of these different tracks, you start opening up additional tracks. And I only opened up 1 additional track in my playtime with the game, and I actually got really tired playing it. I mean, I was really working my arms. I was trying to get faster and faster times. I was really working hard on it and got tired actually after a while, and I only saw 1 new track. So I will have thoughts on Sprint Vector next week because I'm going to be playing it all weekend long. But you know what? There's a couple other games I'm going to be playing all weekend long as well. Sorrento VR. Yes, Mixed Realms saw the episode that I had where I was talking about Sorrento VR, and they were kind enough to reach out to me and they emailed me a review code for the game. So I can tell you I'm going to be playing a hell of a lot of Sorrento VR over this weekend. So I will definitely have my takes on that early next week. And then the other game I want to play a little bit this weekend is 11 Table Tennis VR. I want to get in there. I've had this game for a long time, haven't played it in a long time. And so I thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity. Whenever we have these free weekends, it's always a good opportunity to jump into a game like Table Tennis VR and be able to check it out and get a firsthand, well, I've played it before, but kind of see it again. I haven't played it since there's been so many updates that have been made for it. And then also trying the multiplayer, and who knows, maybe I get into a multiplayer game with one of you guys and that could be fun as well. So I always like to try whatever the big free weekend game happens to be. And that's why these free weekends are so good, because there is that community factor as well. Everybody kind of tries the game, everybody gets some playtime with the game, and we have that shared experience that is always important as well. Okay, now speaking of playtime, I can talk about a couple of games really quick. Okay, so Cold Iron. We remember Cold Iron came out a little while back, like a week or so ago. This is the game that is kind of this Wild West game where you're basically doing a standoff Wild West shooter type thing. But you know what? I only scratched the surface of this game that very first time that I played it. And I've seen some people talk about Cold Iron and kind of, they liked the game more than I did, really. And then I also remember in the trailer for the game seeing like very different graphics on some of the levels that you get into as you get farther into the game. And so I wanted to try to play this game a little bit more, give it another chance. And I did get into the second level of the game. The graphics are quite a bit different. And it's enjoyable, but honestly, my opinion on the game hasn't changed very much. It is not a bad game, but honestly, if, you know, it's in the same price range as something like Dick Wild and Shooty Fruity and like Duck Season, you know, I kind of put it into that kind of category of game. And I actually think I like maybe all three of those other games a little bit better than I like Cold Iron, but I have played it a little bit more. The graphics are very different when you get into the second level, completely different. The gameplay does change up a little bit. It kind of does this little Simon Says type thing where you're trying to follow where the bad guy is going to appear, and then you do the same. It's the same mechanic of you're shooting the bad guy. You're waiting for this time thing and you're doing a time thing. You shoot the bad guy. I mean, that's pretty much what the game is all about. And it's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but I didn't really find anything magical about it either. And then before I get out of here, before I bounce out of here, I just wanted to mention one other game. Okay, so Scanner Sombre, there's a demo for this game. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think this was on the Oculus Rift rankings that we recently updated. We've updated our HTC Vive rankings finally. We updated our Oculus Rift rankings finally. And I believe on the Oculus Rift rankings, Scanner Sombre ranked quite high. And this was a game, I've heard of the game before. I heard people mention it, but I never actually played it myself. And when I was looking it up and getting some information on it, I saw that there was a demo. So I thought, hey, I might as well try this demo. Now, Scanner Sombre is a game that is available regular 2D mode, but also has a VR mode. And it does have a demo. I tried the demo, and in the demo, I was able to play the VR mode. And the one thing I'll tell you about this game is this is the kind of game where if you like to take, if you like to try some narcotics, we might say, or if you'd like to have psychedelic experiences that take you to different places, Scanner Sombre is your game. Let me tell you, this will take you to some psychedelic places. It's really quite weird. It's a weird game, but it's incredibly colorful. It's magical. It kind of takes you on this trippy little experience, but basically you have like this scanner thing that you start shooting all around your world. And what it does is it lights up your world, and you're able to see pathways, and you're able to see the walls. And it's almost like you're in this like magical cave, and you're like exploring this cave, and you have to kind of shoot out this, this stuff that like reveals these particles that are everywhere, colors everywhere, and you're kind of exploring this weird cave, and you're going over these like suspension bridges, and you're just kind of looking around and stuff. But it is a really trippy experience. So if you live in Colorado, if you live in Oregon or California, you might want to try Scanner Sombre. It is that kind of game. It is pretty trippy, pretty psychedelic, pretty cool. I just tried the demo. I don't know what the real game is all about, but I did enjoy the demo. It's definitely worth checking out. Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this Friday show. I'm sorry that we haven't really had any like major hard hitting news with like serious news takes and stuff this week, but every once in a while, this is the way it's going to be, and we just have to try to make the best of what we got. And I guarantee you, as these weeks go on, we will have some incredible news stories, some incredible game announcements, and a lot of stuff like that. And I'm going to be playing a hell of a lot of Sariento VR over this weekend, so I'll definitely have my thoughts on that next week. Sprint Vector as well, and also 11 VR table tennis. So anyway, guys, I will see everybody on Monday, so have a wonderful weekend. I'll see all you guys on Monday. Take it easy. Later.